how do you tease it out in the model? That's one of my reflections. And if I'm off, it's okay. We are used to telling each other those things. Number two, I have a problem understanding what happens to the divine mandate. It seems earlier generations in Uganda, in the same formal education system, made it. They talk and we listen. What has happened to the current graduates that you have met? I mean, that you have met and they seem to have a problem. What is wrong? Is it that we are not doing it right, or is it that they are not taking it up the way we expect? Because I'm happy to encourage my students in class and tell them you can be great teachers. And some of them are promising great teachers, and others have already gone out as effective workers. But your findings, of course, worry. And your findings are not just yours, but also corroborated by the other literature that, the reports which give us the 63%, half-baked, 38%, unready. So is it that we are not, is it that we are not understanding the mandate? Or so and I think that's where the thing is, how do we treat this mandate? And of course, our parents. I have a feeling that each parent can very easily see from the beginning that this child is going to be something. We all, those who have brought up children, looked after children, you will have 10 of them, but you will know, you have 3 of them, you will know that out of these 3, this one is a monkey, is going to climb. This one is a fish, she's going to swim. But my question is, do we even allow them right from that time to swim? All I see is all of us pack nursery bags, we put in food, we take them to school. How do the parents ride on the divine mandate? What is your take on that?
I think, thank you so much, Dr. Christine. Before I get to divine mandate, allow me to take you back to what education is and how I brought out the definition of formal education. These 2 concepts are completely different. When you look at what education is to mold you, to bring out the best of you. In other words, if you go by it, it will help you realize your full potential. But when we come to the formal setting, as you described it, we are just packing, most of us are packing children to school, and we think things should happen there. And in a way, the parents are creating some gap of how to identify the monkeys, as we can call them, or how to identify the fish. So when we look at the formal setting and what education is, but again, with formal setting, we are basically looking at Western culture. We've been told, you know what? Western education is the one that can do it for us. But we have not stopped to ask ourselves, okay, can education take place outside the classroom, for instance? Is the parent able to guide this student, this child? Is there this, is there that? You know, we are not reflecting on all those issues. So we come up with conceptual problems first, then the stakeholders' responsibilities have issues, etc.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, from your model, what do you envisage? And since you interacted with some of these, critical stakeholders, the Ministry of Education and, the commissions, those who are really working, closely with education, do you think, what do you think will happen to the model? Where do we start and how do we proceed? Because are we going to halt and find a way of starting? Because you seem to suggest that something is completely messy and needs an overhaul. How do we overhaul?
Okay, if we are talking about how to overhaul, the mother of education is philosophy. We need to get back to the foundation or roots. Then we start from there. As Uganda, what do we want? What kind of graduates do we want? And we define exactly what is the purpose of education. That's where I would start from. And that's why where I asked the graduates to let me know if their values, knowledge, and skills are missing, at what stage should it be? And most of them were like at an early stage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dean. And I would like to end by thinking aloud that a few more glaring decisions make me think about what you are grappling with, because if you look at some of the people in positions of responsibility, if you went by the degrees, they shouldn't sit where they sit, but they are there. If you went by capabilities, maybe they are actually monkeys. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mpiangu. Naomi is still holding on very well. Are you just changing location? You want to stand now, or are you getting something? You need, okay. All right, thank you. So I would now like to invite Professor Helen Kavala to also ask her questions, make comments. Thank you.
Thank you, my dean. Dean, you're going to give me about another 30 minutes as... okay, did you say no? On that note, I'll make sure that I don't use all the time that I should use. So a very good morning, friends. And Naomi, I'm just impressed by the entire thing, and I would like to really thank the previous ones. I don't want to repeat myself. I had a few concerns, but I'm just going to raise one. Because my role today was to listen, and we had a very good, thorough opponent. I don't want to repeat his words. He did a very good job already. Someone will wonder, how did you know? The defense is both physical and online, so we kept following. Now I would like to draw your attention to page 22. Just read for me your first line under section 1.16. It's the only concern I'm raising. I'm not going to delay here.
Divine mandate comes from the combination of two words. Do I stop there or I continue?
Sentence.
Divine and mandate, where divine comes from the Hebrew word equated to divinus in Latin.
I want you to read that word.
I can't read it.
And that's where my concern is. You know, this is a word in your work, and I'm wondering why on this particular part, you use the word Elohei without vocalization. And when we go down there, you use words with vocalization. Now, I know I have a few Biblists in the room, and I'm really being very selfish here as a Biblist. I'm going to advise, if it's allowed, Dean, that if you can't read this word, don't use it.
I had actually seen it before the presentation.
Okay, wonderful. The other issue that I would like to maybe bring to your attention is probably divine mandate is not a combination per se, but these are totally different words that you can that you're bringing together. And I would like also to comment on the table 1. In table 1, you make a reference to what you call the Bible Hub. Now, if I invited one of my fellow Biblists in the room, just seated over there, we would be disturbed when you use the Bible Hub rather than use the Society of Biblical Literature, which is the authentic one. But also, I strongly believe that this entire thing is in the wrong. It's here wrongly. It is redundant. It's not adding anything, because when you go to the section of the morphology, I don't know, you give us a verb, or, that's not morphology as far as linguistically speaking. So I don't want to make your day dark, because it's already a bright day. I would like to end it here by saying, and this is also to all of us, if you have to invite anyone on this table, this is your table, you invite the guests and you allow the guests to speak. This guest is redundant, they are making noise, and they don't have value addition to your work. Okay. The earlier you get them out, the better, because you're entering a conversation. For example, I was going to ask you, why are you choosing Elohei and you're not choosing Adonai? And when we go into that conversation, it will also lead you to another issue. I also had a little bit of a concern, but I don't want to follow it up. I'm finding it hard to know how you actually did action research on the measurement of divine mandate. What is the yardstick? Who actually tells us that this is the correct way or wrong way? And which divine?
Okay, if I can respond on that. I designed this work as an action research, and as I've already told you, I had different respondents responding to different things. So depending on the respondents I had, if it was those ones who were responding on ethics, education, and divine mandate, then we would discuss that. If it was only an educationist, then I just inquire what is taking place within education, I go. And then after gathering that information, also as part of the action group, then I did the analysis myself. Okay, this is divine mandate. This is what is taking place.
What's the authority you're using?
I am using the Bible.
The Bible is not an authority. That's the issue I'm raising.
Okay.
Because when you use the Bible to measure divine mandate, I don't know which Bible you're using, first of all. And secondly,
I highlighted that I'm using NIV.
Through the dean, I would like to end this conversation here, because my background is biblical studies and I don't want to veer this conversation away from the philosophy. But I'm very sure you had a philosopher who is very entrenched in the Bible, and my teacher of the New and Old Testament, Dr. Musana, and they know that when we are talking about divine mandate, not even the Bible is an authority on this. Okay. So it is a little bit dangerous, and your choice of text to justify the divine mandate has suffered lots of translations and interpretations, and there is a danger. So probably you want to be very careful from the start to explain why you want to understand it that way, without entering the theological conversation around it, because it will take you to a totally different trajectory.
Okay.
Having said that, I really want to congratulate you. Thank you for holding forth, and very best wishes.
Thank you.
Maybe before you leave that place, let's have this one. Let's say, with the expert that approach and the current site design, without bringing in the issue of action design in this one.
With due respect, I'm going to leave that to the committee, which is going to have that conversation, but also the supervisors. I hear you, and I really have my position on that. but I'm just being careful not to declare my position, lest the candidate thinks it is the position. So it's a conversation, and definitely as Professor Nen raises it, when we give you feedback after this defense, you'll hear our voices clearly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. You should have used all the 30 minutes because we were getting excited again. So at this point, I've listened to different colleagues make their comments and ask questions. And I also would like to follow up on a few things, Naomi. So so this thing called the divine mandate, I want to be sure that you say that you derive this from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you say that our education system was good until the Western kind of education comes in and disorganizes us. So in that way, would you then say that our education system before the missionaries came in was actually following divine mandate?
Again, I will have to bring out the issue of who is a human being. Because when we are talking about education, we are basically looking at how do we bring out the best within this human being? And
I
this,
think I'm going to interject because I think that is okay, how to bring the best, and you did explain that in your presentation. But what I just want to know, like in yes or no, is whether we would say that our education system or African education systems before the coming in of missionaries or, Western education, whether it followed the divine mandate. Would you say it followed divine mandate?
yeah, as long as they guided students, I mean the learners, to be what they want, how and what they were able to be, yes.
Okay, so I would push further, but I'm going to avoid that because now I was going to say, okay, so where were these people deriving this from? Because then most of their knowledge about the Bible, or unless it was there before, unless they were actually reading this Bible before the people who bring the Bible actually come and disorganize our education system. There seems to be a kind of contradiction there. And I think this is a question that the opponent raised, and you maybe you answered it. I didn't get the answer there, because if the missionaries are coming with the Bible and they're followed by colonialists, then I want to imagine, okay, I'm a historian and I might be wrong. So I want to imagine they are the ones, it's the Bible they come with that then would educate us on this. So how is it then that these people who didn't have who are not reading the Bible were actually able to have an education system that followed divine mandate, and then the ones who bring the Bible come and disorganize the system? That's one thing I would want to get from. I would have wanted to get from you clearly. Secondly, it seems to me, and I might be wrong, that you assume that everybody, including the parents and the children, actually know divine mandate. So when people are going to school, they should be aware of the divine mandate and what will be expected of them. And I don't know if that is the case, because I like what you say, that most people go to school and they don't know why they go to school. And I'm one of those. I went to school. I didn't know why I was going to school, but it was time to go to school. Everybody was going, and I went to school. So, so I was just wondering about that. The other comment that I had is okay, because I don't belong very much to the other side of Dr. Onen. So you used mixed methods, and in your presentation, I was really looking forward to the qualitative data, But you killed my eyes with the statistics and tables and all that. And at one time I was saying, okay, now man, you talk to us also, those of us who don't know the statistics, since you use the mixed messages. I don't know why, whether you just chose to mute the voices, because some of us then only got to hear the voices from actually the from the opponent. That's when, oh, so there were voices actually in the dissertation. So I don't know if that was by choice.
That was because of the time I had. I have
No, but if you said
that's
mixed
my
methods, you have no excuse. There are things you spend a lot of time on where you could have actually told us about both. I think that's not persuasive. But also I think again that as an academic, we have to be careful what we say and not seem to make like sweeping statements. Because you speak about certain things with a lot of passion that, students at senior 6 don't know what they want to do at university and all that. But also you're not looking at the other side. You're not looking at the fact that actually the university system and the entry to the university is the one that eventually determines what you can do. So I could have ambitions of becoming a pilot, but my scores don't qualify me for that. So I think that you're being very harsh to your graduates without also talking about the system that actually sort of predetermines where you will go depending on the performance. And that was just a feeling that I had. I would like to ask you to take us to one of your slides, the slide before the conclusion, where you quote, I think you say you quote Mandela. Okay, so I think this is it. So I try to look at this because I look up there, it's Mandela quote. And then at the bottom is Madison Park High School, Boston. And so I was just wondering, where does the Mandela quote end? And where does this other one begin?
I forgot what I want.
Okay, so maybe maybe for that. And then lastly, because I'm not a biblical scholar and I am somebody passing by on the streets, I was just wondering why this dissertation should not actually be taken to Professor Mugaga's college and not here.
You want me to respond?
Yes.
The reason why it should not go there is because I am discussing a central issue within a human being, or what affects the human being, who is already explained, who is created by the creator. And, looking at the kind of education that we are giving him or her, looking at how we are taking care of him matters. So centrally, what kind of, how are we taking care of him in terms of education? To me, that is where the concern is.
And that can be handled by Professor Mugaga's school. The concern of how we deal with this human being.
He's looking at, for him, he will be looking at how to socialize, how to do ABCD, but who are you? Who is this? Who is the other? And why are you here for? It matters.
Okay, thank you. I will leave that to my colleagues in that department. I would now like to switch my hat so that okay, yeah, so we had one of the panelists online, and unfortunately his battery ran out and he dropped off. So Dr. Osim will not be able to submit questions to the candidate. So at this point, I would like to now invite the audience to make comments or ask questions. Please be precise because I don't have lunch. Be precise and we'll give the candidate time to respond. So by show of hands, the online audience, I asked you to submit your questions in the chat, so we'll read them there. I saw that one. That's the problem of sitting behind people, so I didn't see it.
I'd like to congratulate Naomi on this achievement and thank you for the beautiful work you have produced. I'd like to ask, since you're in the area of ethics, religious ethics was part of the anchor of your work. I was a bit surprised that you did not discuss at least the the discussion that is in the area of religious ethics. Yes, the religious or the divine origin of ethics and evolutionary origin of ethics, because I think it's an area which is contested, and at least showing awareness that there is this discussion. But the way you presented it is almost taken for granted that ethics comes from God, and I think it's not yet an area that is settled. Maybe it would have enriched your work by at least acknowledging that there is that little discussion. I don't know whether you have a comment about that.
The reason why. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Naomi, for the great presentation and a wonderful study. A lot has been said, but I want to re-echo what the chair just said. I know your focus and your unit of analysis is the education system, but the education system may not work in isolation. So I was looking at, did you echo, of course I didn't read your work, did you echo the system or do students have options to choose from? When you ask a question on students not knowing what they want to do they actually have options? I've had a student at my home the last week who is from a poor background and couldn't do a degree even when he would qualify. And he's been offered a diploma in Nakawa to do electrical and electronics engineering. He also wants to do surveying in Entebbe. And in Nakawa, he has a government sponsorship, but he wants to do surveying because he thinks surveying has more market. So it's not about him liking what he wants to do, but it's about the market, which you bring out in your neoliberal argument. But I think we could also look at the aspects of how the system has created an environment where students do not actually even have a choice to choose from.
Thank you very much, Naomi, for this beautiful presentation and study. My question is, as one who has traversed the education system and the National Development Curriculum Center and interviewed many students, I would like to ask you, this new, I don't know what we call it, the new curriculum, what is it called? Our new curriculum that we are following.
CBC.
Yes, CBC. Would you say that it was well thought out, and would it produce student graduates who are ethical? And if not, why do you think it would not? Thank you.
Very
I will start with the last one on the CBC. When we look at the principles of CBC, they are basically focusing on competencies of the learner. And when you look at the competencies, yes,